Hey, good evening, guys, ladies and gentlemen. How you all doing today? It is what I call a beautiful Friday night. Let's get this live all shout out. My name is Drew Nicholas. I'm the owner, director, and founder of Entertainment TV. Now, guys, we know we're all been really busy for the last couple of days, couple of weeks, and I haven't done a live for a little while, but I haven't done one of these chat shows for a long time. After the last couple of years, maybe 3 years on Straight Top, I ain't done one of these chat shows for ages. Tonight, I have a special guest. You see in the corners, Wayne is on our show tonight. And what we're going to be talking about in this live tonight is mainly paranormal, his experience in the paranormal field, especially being seen on, which is a swear word for me and him as well. It really is, and I'll make it clear. Most haunted. But the man's climbing on his chair. I don't know what he's doing, but he's going to make me giggle. Yeah, he done his own books. He written his own books as well, and he's in a lot of people connections with the paranormal field. If you guys don't know what the paranormal field is, you guys need to watch some paranormal films, or maybe just watch some of the stuff on social media. But tonight, guys, Wayne will be joining me for an interview just to talk about his experience, what he's been up to. He's been on the show before, and he loves coming on our show, I think. I don't know. Yeah, he's great, and he's all thumbs up. And if you guys want to see more shows like this, you want to do a lot more, and you want to see like a lot of more fun with us, then it can happen, and I would have more people on this show as grateful. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to give up from my spooky, fantastic, good friend, Mr. Wayne. He's up in the box in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up in the box, you. Wow. What a shock face. Wow. Welcome.
Up in the box.
Do you like coming on Entertainment? Do you like coming here?
I enjoy going on a lot of lives with various people, simply because it's what promotes the paranormal.
The real paranormal, not the bullcrap paranormal.
Well, unfortunately, you have the real paranormal and you have the entertainment paranormal. Well, myself, I do a bit of both, simply because some of the podcasts I do are light-hearted conversation chats about the paranormal.
Yeah.
So we'll have people within the show that take the light-hearted approach, and so there's a bit of humour involved. And then we also have the serious side of chatting about the paranormal at the same time. So two of the shows that I do are, one is the Mystical Carousel show, which is supposed to be the serious discussions about the paranormal. And then the Fools and Ghouls on a Friday night on Facebook is the more light-hearted side of things. So that originally was the intention, was that Thursday would be the serious side, Friday would be the humorous side. Only it never seems to work out that way. We have one of our American co-hosts, he's a bit of a comedian, and he comes on with a rubber chicken and things and cracks jokes, and it always ends up going downhill. But we start off serious and then it just turns into mayhem, but that's what makes the show more interesting. And then obviously Monday nights I co-host with Mark Manley the Dark Mirror radio show, where we tend to talk about UAPs, aliens, a little bit of cryptozoology and ghosts as well, but it's mainly UAPs and aliens. But recently we've sort of ended up going down the road of conspiracy theories and looking at different possibilities, like Thomas Edison and what he was really like as a man or an inventor, a businessman, and some of the ideas that he had stolen off of other inventors and named them as his own, which is a bit of a strange story. And then you get the likes of Nikola Tesla, who invented all these things regards to free energy. And then when he died, all of his patents disappeared. The hotel that he was living in had 7 chests in his hotel room. And in those 7 chests were all these patents of technology that he had invented that would have revolutionized the energy market by giving out free energy. And the FBI and the CIA had removed all of these chests.
Yeah.
And nobody knows where they are. So, you know, and I think that's one of the good things about doing these live shows is that not only does it promote the other the shows that I do, but it also helps promote the interest in the paranormal, because the paranormal isn't just ghosts.
No, it's a lot more to like a mystery of
a hell of a lot more. And a lot of it is science based. It's all revolves around science. When you look at ghosts and spirits, a lot of people will look at science to find the answers, and they use all their little gadgets and the technology.
Do you think science will always answer questions in the paranormal then?
I think science eventually will answer most questions,
but not all of it.
But not all of them. Simply because as human beings, we have relied on evolution to advance to the next stage. So for us, before it came to the industrial age, we were still going out and we were using plows to plow the fields and doing things by hand. Then the industrial revolution started, and machines were coming about that saved us all of that energy and that time. Then you came to the technological age, where things with electricity were being involved. So you moved to things like telephone and radio communication. And then you get next stage, you got mobile phones and all this, and satellites, space travel. We get, you know, each stage of evolution, we're increasing our technological know-how. And eventually we'll get to the next stage again, where some form of technology will revolutionize how we do things. And that will be that stage. And it will just keep on going like that. And so eventually I think science will catch up with the things that we know about, but not the things we don't know about. And you look at different theories of the theory of light, faster than light travel, or as fast as light travel. Go back 100 years, there's no way you could have done it. But now they're saying that it's possible to travel as fast as light. So, you know, it's how you interpretate things and how you look into these things, and that's why we have scientists. And you see investigators go out there at night time. They've got K2 meters or various different EMF meters. You've got your voice recorders, video cameras, night vision cameras, because these people are trying to use all methods to their availability to find the answers.
So,
and there will be groups of us that, I mean, I'm how can I put it? I'm a skeptical believer. I believe in spirit, but I look for the answers first before I turn around and say it's a ghost. You know, I'm quite open-minded, and I'm quite sensitive, and I can walk into a place and I can feel the energy. I can feel whether there is something there. But until I actually see it or hear it, and I've got a method of confirming that.
Are you the type of guy it goes by the saying, seeing is believing, but believing is seeing?
Pretty much.
Like how I say with people, seeing is believing, and that. Julie, welcome in, darling. Julie's the mod, the one you just talked to. So, yeah. Look, she's gonna get. We're gonna be nagging her as well at the same time. She's gonna get a word out. Shout it out if you can. with the whole fact of the speed of light, I totally understand that bit because 100 years, wouldn't they never heard of it back then, but now it's till now.
Again, technology.
It's all to do with technology, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Logically. Yeah.
Evolution of technology. We progress to different stages, and as we progress through those stages, we invent things that have gone, wow, never realized. Who would have thought 150 years ago that we would be able to walk around and watch TV on our wrist?
That's true. But then back in
Wouldn't it?
is it 1940s, they actually
Yeah.
started predicting televisions on wrists, and they started predicting headsets with phones in 1940s,
Exactly.
if I remember
But look
rightly.
if you look at likes of Star Trek,
Mm.
I know it seems a bit of a weird comparison, but if you look at the likes of Star Trek with pulse engines, there
Yeah.
is such a thing as a pulse engine in real life.
Well, yeah, I
But
totally agree.
when Star Trek started, no one had ever heard of a pulse engine. No one knew what a pulse engine was, and yet they'd stand there and go, "We'll activate pulse engines. We'll go to warp 5." And they're all like, "Whoa, hang on a minute, what's all this?" And so you look at TV shows back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and none of this was possible. Yet somebody had thought up a way of traveling through space at fast as light travel. And now we're getting so close to being able to do it. The technology hasn't quite caught up with the theory.
But then there's other technologies that is starting to pick up with the theory in different countries.
Exactly. And that's what happens. You have a theory, but the theory cannot become reality until technology catches up with it.
Yeah, well, I can actually see where this is going now by like how it's.
Yeah. So you can come out with a theory. I mean, the theory behind faster than light travel is something cannot go as fast as light because of its mass. But if you can make that mass weigh nothing, all you need is a propulsion system to make that item go as fast as light. There's your answer.
There's definitely your answer right there.
You need, because obviously in a vacuum there is no restriction, but when you've got gravity and air involved, you've got a restriction of movement. So you couldn't go faster than as fast as light in an atmosphere because it's physically impossible at the moment because you have something in the way. And a lot of the reasons behind a lot of these UAP sightings are because they have the technology to get rid of that restriction, i.e. a force field around the ship.
Hey, Sally, welcome in. My name is Drew.
And that theory there is based on how you're going to travel without the vacuum. And so having that force field, it creates that vacuum. So there's nothing to stop it.
It's true, though. There's nothing to really,
So, it's, I think it's quite interesting and science will get there eventually. And at the moment, the only problem is when you turn around and say, well, I was at such and such a venue and I was walking down a corridor and I saw a black shadow walk across the front of me into a room. And when I went into that room, there was nobody there. You've automatically, straight away, you've suggested something. Some people will say, I believe you, 100%. Wow, that must have been amazing. And other people will go, well, can you prove it? Well, no, because I wasn't filming at the time. Was there anybody with you? No, I wasn't. I was on my own. So it's your word against everybody else's. And that's the biggest issue.
that
Is the proof. You need recorded proof that is what you saw. Because then you could turn around and go, hey, guys, look what I got. You can see the black shadow walk out across the front of me. You see it go in that room. You see me walk into that room and you can see there's nothing there. So, and that's the problem. And that's why us paranormal investigators go out and do these things, because we want to find the evidence. We want to find the proof and to be able to share it with other people in the paranormal community and beyond and say, look, there is something. Because we've spent so many years looking at mediums, clairvoyants, and looking to them for the answers.
But also they need to look for themselves though as well.
And unfortunately, they got ridiculed. And that's not fair on them, because they're looking at it in a sense. At the time, it was a breakthrough science. They are convinced they can speak to the deceased. They know they can speak to the deceased, but it's proving it. Technology's not there to prove it. So now we're further down the line, 100 years down the line. We can now look at things and say, well, okay, digital cameras now have disproved most orbs that are caught on camera. However, there is a small percentage of orbs that, if they're a weird shape, a weird color, or changing colors, moving erratically, then that is not the scientific proof that an orb is dust or a bug. So if it's not dust or a bug, what is it? So that odd 3% makes all the difference. That 3% is the difference between whether that's paranormal or whether it's a natural occurrence. And December, we were filming in the Red Lion Hotel in Colchester, and we went into one of the rooms, one of the haunted bedrooms there, and there was sorry?
You say honey bedrooms?
Haunted bedrooms.
You said honey bedroom.
Did I?
Come on!
Hang on, I'll put the right teeth in. Hang on.
Put it in, boy. Put it in, boy. Put it in.
One of the haunted bedrooms, and there was a lot of dust particles floating around from the fabric, from the beds, the carpet. And obviously, as we'd walked in, we'd fanned this dust and fabric particles by opening the door. We all settled down and we started the night vision camera. And as we're filming, you could see all these dust particles flying past the camera, and they're all heading one direction. They're all going with the air current. And then out of nowhere, this massive orb, and it was literally like two circles connected together.
Wow.
So it made like an 8 shape. And it started going in the same direction as all the other particles of dust. So it was going across the camera lens. And then all of a sudden it did a U-turn and it shot back the other way and then headed straight towards the camera lens and then just vanished.
We had one. We had an email from this lady called Lisa, and Lisa sent us the one where she actually caught an actual orb, and it come to the point where it was going that way, and then it done like a certain zigzags, if you get what I mean. But it had a nice long white stripe behind it, but still. If I send a video to you, which you'll have a look, it's somewhere on my page.
But you see, the thing is, with that, it moved in a zigzag shape.
Yeah.
And the only way of doing that is by having a series of drafts in certain places to allow that particle to do that.
And that, yeah.
You know,
in the garage, but I don't think there's much draft going in that garage.
Well, the thing is, you look at a garage, and my garage, for instance, I've got a gap 2 centimeters at the bottom. So I know that a draft can come in from underneath. And at the very tops of each corner and the top of the garage, there's a little gap. So I can get drafts in through there. But that would be pushing in one direction as the wind comes through them gaps. So anything would be going in that one direction. But if it's going in the opposite direction to where the draft's coming from, you've eliminated dust particles, because dust particles would travel with the draft.
Yeah.
So then you're looking at a bug. But if it's too small to be a bug, or too big to be a bug that you can't see with the naked eye, but your camera's picked it up, what is it? If it's not a bug or a dust.
It's not. It's true.
If it's moving against the draft, it shouldn't be. So you've already eliminated dust particles, and that's why we do it, because it's about proving these things.
I'm just quickly going to say this, guys. If you're new into this live, Andrew, this is Wayne. He's from Spooky Paranormal, correct?
Spookinori.
Look, you're making me say hard words again, okay? You're making me say these words again.
Think of Jackanori.
All right, so Spookinori, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, okay. And anything else I need to say out straight out? What else are you in?
I'm the presenter of Truth Beyond Paranormal, which is an online show that I present, which is basically going to haunted locations, filming episodes, and trying to do live feeds at the same time if we can, depending on reception. The Dark Mirror radio show on a Monday night, 9:30 on Facebook, which tends to be about aliens, UFOs, cryptozoology, ghosts, and conspiracy theories. Then the Mystical Carousel show on a Thursday night at 9:00 on Facebook, where we talk about all things paranormal. And then on Friday night at 8:00, it's Fools and Ghouls, which is a very light-hearted approach to the paranormal. So we tend to have a good old giggle at the same time. I also am the co-owner of Spookinori events, where we actually host public events in haunted locations for people to come along and join the investigation. They lead the investigation. All I do and my team does is sit there and assist when needed. The investigation is theirs, so they can use the equipment and actually go into these areas and actually do the calling out. And, they're in charge of the investigation. And then I am also author of my own ghost stories called Spookinori, which I have a group on Facebook called Wayne Seaden Presents Spookinori. And they are my own ghost stories that I write, sometimes do live feeds reading ghost stories, but I publish them through Amazon. So if anybody's interested in buying the books, they are on Amazon, or I sell them separately myself, or I can sell them as a group. So far, I've published 4 books. 3 of them I have here. One called A Whistle from the Hills.
1 minute, I'll do it.
A Whistle from the Hills. And then we have Lady J, which is my bestseller at the moment. And we have Cricket, which is a Mother Nature supernatural tale. And I also have one called Job Done, but I haven't been able to get my hands on one yet because the printers are in Poland. So it's I've got to wait.
Different way, long way in there.
It's weird because you think Amazon and you think how many printers there are in the UK, and yet Amazon have chosen to have all the books that they sell printed in Poland. And then they have to come over here, and it takes 2 weeks. Lady J is the only book that Amazon stock because they've seen it as a bestseller, so they stock it in the warehouse. The other 3, they're printed to order. So what I do is I can, as the author, I'm allowed to order 1,000 copies at printing price, and I'm allowed in my contract to sell them at my end. So what I do is I sell all 4 books that are published at the moment. I sell all 4 for £15. And what I do is I put in my Spookinori bookmark, and I sign them individually to the people that buy them. And I've toyed with the idea of having them bound with I've got my own seal, wax seal. So I bind them with a black or red ribbon, and I put the wax seal on the front as well. So it makes a nice little gift package. And that's the easiest way for me to sell them, because I get more out of it if I sell them myself than if I sell them through Amazon, because they take their cut and my royalties are next to nothing. But it's fun because every year I have to do a tax return for the American tax office.
That's going to be more fun because there's nothing to get.
It's hilarious because they look at it and it's like our tax office. You've got to earn over a certain amount before you pay tax. So every year when the American tax office, the IRS, comes in and says you need to do your tax return,
I remember this.
Amazon do most of it, and they just check with you, and you just go through it and go, yep, that's right, that's correct, blah, 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 nothing to pay, confirm. And then it all goes through. And I sit there and I think to myself, in a way, that's quite weird and quite nice to know that I'm an American taxpayer.
Wow. That is.
If you're registered in America for selling goods, you're an American taxpayer, which makes things a lot easier. If you were ever to go to America to work, they can go, well, he already pays tax over here, so your green card's okay.
To work there. If anyone's got a question for Mr. Wayne in the comments about paranormal experiences books, please ensure yourself to put anything in the comments, even if it's about paranormal. If you're going to ask Psychic Medium, I don't know who Psychic Medium is here. I don't know. Are you a Psychic Medium?
No, I'm not. As I said, I'm sensitive, but I have a spirit that follows me. It's stuck with me. Apparently, it's my. Well, I like it. It's quite funny. It's quite poetic. My ex-wife from a previous life.
Well,
it's the only way I can describe it.
Leave the ex-wife in the past, I would say.
Well, from when I was when I first moved in, I moved into my sister's old house. She moved to Corfu, and I took on her house, and things were happening there that I couldn't explain. And after a while, I managed to get in contact with a medium that lived nearby.
Yeah,
I didn't give them a name, didn't give them my address or anything, so there was no research to be done. She agreed to meet me, so she caught a bus from where she lived, and I met her at a bus stop, and I walked her to my house. And within 5 minutes of walking through the door, she said, I've got a name called Joanne. And I'm like, okay. And she walked into the living room and she sat down and she came out with all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. And she mentioned about an incident when I had a lodger, and an episode of Most Haunted was on, and I'd said to her, you know, you want to watch this episode? This was a good one. We had such a laugh when we filmed this, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, no, I don't believe in all that stuff. And I went, don't, you will upset Joanne. And the medium turned around and she said, so you knew the name Joanne? I said, yeah. I said, that was the first name that came in my head. You'll upset Joanne. I said, and she went, oh, I don't believe in that, Tosh. And all of a sudden, this can of spaghetti flew out the cupboard out.
What?
And she's like, right, okay. She obviously didn't like this lady saying that. I said, no, she didn't. I said, and 2 weeks later, it happened again. I said, she opened up the fridge door and I'd said to her, you know, this one's a good show. And she went, oh, you know, I don't believe in all that stuff. And her dinner for that night come flying out the fridge out. And couple of weeks later she moved, and so she came out with all this information, and I'm like, right, okay. And then the first thing I did was go down 2 doors down, and I knocked on the door and I said, I'm sorry, but I need to ask you a question. I said, no, I've had someone come round to my house that says that this house and your house are related to each other in a way. I said, do you have any strange things occur in your house? And they went, all the time. She says, we have things like keys go from the front door key fob to the back door key fob. We have things get moved in the cupboard, or things get taken out of the fridge when no one has said that they've moved them. Oh, okay. And it was because Joanne lived in the house I was in, and Joanne's mum and dad lived in the house 2 doors down. And she would go between the 2 houses. And I'm like, this is quite freaky. But what got me more than anything, which made me go to the Hall of Records to actually check on residents that lived in that house in the past, was the fact that she said that in my previous life, my name was Michael. And I died on the evacuation of Dunkirk. He joined the British Expeditionary Force, and he was part of the evacuation of Dunkirk beaches, and he was killed before he could be evacuated.
Oh.
And she died a year later. And she had been in that house waiting for me to return. And I'm like, I was gobsmacked. When I checked the Hall of Records, they did live there. And he joined the British Expeditionary Force and never came home. And where she kept going down to her mum and dad's house was the period of time between his death and her dying. She was going backwards and forwards to her mum and dad's house. And it was so bizarre because I then started talking to her. And she's stuck with me ever since. I've moved 3 times since, and she's moved with me every time. She's always there. And it's strange, but I can't, although I know there's something in a location, I'd rather step away from wanting to communicate with it, simply because I would rather find the scientific proof that it exists rather than me just turn around and say, we've got a spirit called Bob here. He died in an accident when he was chopping a tree down. And then have everybody turn around and go, oh, yeah, that's his word for it. I'd rather find the scientific proof, whether it's through EVP, whether it's a night vision camera, communicating with dowsing rods or an SB7, whatever means necessary to get that proof. I would rather do that than just be my word against everybody else's.
Okay, so you're that's a good way to put it in. I'm just putting it through my head. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it's a sort of a pre-Victorian thing, you get the Victorian era.
Previous past is a history of reasons. I'm just gonna say this straight out. It's always gonna be a previous past in someone's life to come forward into now, and especially when we had back in the past, we had a lot of emotional times or hard times, and the past will always, especially in spirit world, will always gain to bring themselves forward just to say, I don't like that person. Boom. That's only because that's the reaction the spirit's doing to give, I just don't want them here. I don't want to be bugged. That's what it's doing. And I will say this very quickly, so I popped it up a few times. Julie, you're correct. X's are for a reason. 100% executed. Yes. So, 100%. I needed to get that out because it was right there and it was bugging me. And I was like, yeah, I totally agree with that. X's are a reason. And it just proves chucking a can of tin because they didn't like someone.
Yeah, it was. But I had another lodger that had actually seen her standing in the doorway of his bedroom.
Now, that's just a bit in time.
And he turned around to her and he went, Joanne, you're in the wrong room. And it walked out through his closed doorway and onto the landing. And he told me the following morning that Joanne had come into his room. And I went, yes, she's probably checking you out. And he went, well, I told her she was in the wrong room, and she walked back out the door again. And I'm like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, I would have said simple as I probably would have said this to him. I would be like, that's a bit of a wrong time for piving on me. I'm halfway. Morning glory time. Sorry, it's just coming out. It's just
probably
morning glory.
She probably walked in there like someone would walk into the zoo and look at a new animal that's in its enclosure. She probably thought, who the hell is that?
Well, it is trapped into that one room, isn't
it? But oddly enough, though, she has come through when she's been needed. We filmed down at Kelvedon Hatch Nuclear Bunker,
Oh,
and we had communicated with a corporal. We believed he was Royal Air Force, and he was told that he was murdered there. So we asked why, how he was murdered, and apparently he was thrown down the stairwell. He was already ill,
so they
and
took him down the stairwell.
after about 3/4 of an hour, it turned out that he had an affair with a nurse that was stationed there.
Uh-oh.
The nurse wanted him to leave his wife and children, and he wouldn't. So she poisoned his food to make him ill, so he ended up going to the infirmary. While he was in the infirmary, she pestered him again to leave his wife, and he wouldn't do it. So she smacked him over the head with a bedpan and threw him down the stairwell, which is 3 stories deep.
Ow.
And that killed him. Well, while we were in the infirmary itself, the infirmary smelt really strong of TCP, the disinfectant.
Yeah.
And everybody could smell it. And there was 9 of us there. And we're all sitting there, we're calling out, and this nurse had come through and she'd started pushing down on Ellen's shoulder, my partner. And you could see her shoulder going down, and she's going, this is getting painful. And all of a sudden, I just out of nowhere went, Joanne, can you move this negative energy out of this area, please? And literally, her shoulder came back upright, and she went, oh my God, she said, that was getting really, really bad. And then someone turned around and went, has anybody noticed the smell of disinfectant's gone? I went, yeah, you're right, it's gone. Everybody confirmed the smell of disinfectant had disappeared from the entire infirmary area. Yet all night we could smell that TCP.
Well,
so if she's needed, then yes, she comes to hand quite easily. But other times she just sits in the background and watches over me, and that's it.
I get it.
But she's quite happy with everybody else.
Well, I do apologize. This is a lot to take in tonight. That's a lot. Wow. The disinfectant smell went after the pain on the shoulder.
Yep. I'd literally just said, Joanne, can you remove this negative energy, please? And she'd obviously removed it because the nurse was pushing down on Ellen's shoulder. That pressure had gone, and Ellen was able to sort of stand up and go, oh my God, that was getting painful. And then everybody else turned around and went, the smell of disinfectant's gone. Can't smell it nowhere. And we're all walking around the entire infirmary. And we were like a bunch of animals sniffing for food. We're all like, can't smell it, can't smell it. Well, what about over there? Gone over to a different area of the infirmary, couldn't smell it. And it wasn't until afterwards, a couple of days after, I was talking to my friend Mark Manley, and he turned around and he said, I'm so glad you enjoyed yourself in the infirmary. I went, why is that? And he said, what's this? And he showed me a video of him and the team that he was with when they investigated in the same area, in the same location, but on a different date. And they were all standing there and sort of doing a vigil. And there was, do you remember the old cloth metal framed screens that they used to have before they hung them from the ceiling?
Yep.
There was one of those set up. And Mark had walked behind the screen, and you see him come out the other side. And there was a face in between in the gap in between the 2 screens. And then they moved the screen and nothing was there. And he went, watch it again on slow motion. So, of course, you see him walk in one side, walk out the other, and then the screen moves. And he paused it right on that gap in between the 2 screens. And you could clearly see the best part of about that much of their face looking through that gap. And then the screen moves. And he went, there's nothing there. He said, and everybody else was standing behind the camera. And he said that was in the infirmary. And I'm like, that was the nurse. That was the nurse standing behind that screen watching what you were doing.
So,
And he was like, no. And we're going back there in May, so that'll be interesting.
well, you better take me along then.
Well, we are doing it as part of Spookanori events. We are selling tickets for that event. It's down in Brentwood in a sort of South Essex, Kelvin and Hatch Nuclear Bunker on the 17th of May.
So what you say, Julie? Should we do one? I reckon I should do one.
It is an amazing location, and people turn around to me and they say, "Well, hang on a minute, it's a bunker. It's dug into the hillside."
And
But the story behind the building of that bunker is enough to make spirits want to be there. There was part of a graveyard there that got removed when it was built. It was also farmland before it became the bunker. And there was deaths there before it became a bunker. So there is every reason for there to be spirits in there. Plus, also there is the popular belief that if you loved somewhere in life, then why not go there in death? So when you get spirits go there in visitation, if you've got someone that really enjoyed their work in that bunker, why couldn't they not go back and visit it?
why not?
So again, it makes it haunted. And again, obviously, it's down to the individuals to find that proof. But we've experienced stuff in there. The dorms, they've had wardrobes rattling, big old metal wardrobes. They've been rattling. The bunk beds have rattled. Things have been moved from one bed to the other.
Oh.
Strange stuff go on there. And then there's a corridor right at the bottom floor. There's a corridor. Now, during the day, at the other end of the corridor is a little bungalow. And during the day, as a tourist, you go into this bungalow, and that's the entrance. And you get given one of those little sort of headsets, and it plays the tour. So you walk from one section to the next, and that goes through your ears, and it tells you what each section was for. And then you go along this long corridor, and this corridor must be the best part 100 meters long, and it goes into the hillside. So you come out at the bottom of the bunker.
Yeah.
And then you go throughout the bunker, you go up the floors till you get to the top floor where they have the cafe, so you can sit and have a cup of coffee and a cake or whatever. And then you come out of a tunnel that leads you to the car park.
Mm-hmm.
When you do a paranormal investigation, you do it all in reverse. You start in the car park, go into the cafe, which is the hub room. So that's where all your drinks and that are. So you all start there, and then you work your way down. And this corridor, if the lights are out, is one of the scariest places you will ever go to. Because it literally, when you shine a torch down it, unless you've got one of these massively high-power torches, you do not shine a torch down to the other end because you won't see the other end. No. And I think it's about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. You're not allowed to go past a certain point down this corridor because somebody lives in the upstairs of the bungalow. So you don't disturb them. There's a boundary that you have to stop at. And I can remember investigating down there before when 3 of us have walked down this corridor. And as we've walked back, we could swear blind that we could see something watching us from the other end. And every once in a while, you could see what appeared to be something sort of peering around the corner, looking at us. And you could see these like green lights.
Oh.
And they literally were far apart enough to be eyes. And I went, something's watching us, look. And we all stopped. And we kept looking down the corridor, and we could see these 2 lights appear. Then they'd disappear again. Then they'd reappear. And we're like, no, that ain't right. So one of the guys that was with us, Alan, he'd got this camera with this massive floodlight on the top. And he went, I'll film it. Turns the camera on, turns the floodlight on. And as he does, we see this white object come hurtling towards us, and it hit my mate in the ear.
Ooh.
And he went, "Oh, Jesus." We're like, "You all right, all right?" And he pulled his hand away, and it was bleeding. He got blood all over his hand. And whatever it was had hit his ear and actually cut his ear. So he's like, "Oh, I'll try to sort it out." Me and Alan, we've gone, "What was it that hit you?" And down either side of this tunnel is a little gutter. So if there's any flooding or anything, it can go in that gutter and gets taken away. And as we were walking down, we found, we could only describe it as this piece of flint, just literally about a centimetre long. And we said and we confirmed it. We'd gone down the entire length, the path, the gutters, sides, the lot. We could not find any other object in that corridor that could have done that damage. So it had to have been this piece of flint or stone that had come hurtling towards us. But then Alan just shot off, left me and my friend in the corridor. He shot off down to the end where we saw these green eyes. There's nothing there. And he's filming all of this. And he's going, "I think I've got those eyes on camera. I have definitely got the stone on camera being thrown. And you've got me running down the corridor to the end to find there's no one there." And we're like, "Yeah, okay." And then my friend who got the ear cut, he wouldn't go back down there again. He said, "If I ever come back here, that corridor is out of bounds to me." It scared him.
I would be scared. I would be scared too.
See, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I loved it. To me, it was like, when you get that excited, the adrenaline starts pumping.
Yep, it starts.
And you get that natural high. And I only had one incident like that after then, where the adrenaline was pumping that much. I'm just like, "Yes, do it again, do it again." And that was when I was at Harwich Redoubt Fort. And now this fort was built in 1810 for the Napoleonic Wars. It was a coastal defence battery. And throughout the years up until the Second World War, it was used for one purpose or another. And in the Second World War, they had it as an anti-aircraft as well as coastal battery. And the prison cells there, not only for their own naughty people, but also for housing down German pilots or any prisoners of war while they were waiting to be transported to the POW camps. And this one particular cell 2, out of 3, I was particularly attracted to. And inside each cell, it was decorated the way it was during World War II. So it had this old bed that you'd pulled down from the wall, had this old itchy mattress with old itchy blankets, a table with cup and saucer and knives and forks and a Bible. But particularly, there was a mannequin dummy dressed up as a German pilot. Now, me and an investigator called Claire, we went into this cell. I stood in the doorway. Claire went and sat to my left in a chair by the table. And the mannequin was diagonally to my right in the other far corner, which was about 12 foot away from where I was standing. So she said, we'll do a trigger object. So she gets this little boxing ring with a red light on each corner. She sits it on the bed. She gets it all level and puts this ball in the middle of this trigger object and sets this alarm. And the idea was we would call out for the spirits to do something, move the ball. If the ball moved, this alarm went off.
Yeah.
But it was annoying me because all you kept seeing was these red lights going off. And I'm like, it's good a job I don't suffer from epilepsy. Otherwise, I'd be having a seizure by now.
Yeah, you would have been having a bit.
She goes, do you know what? She said, every time those red lights flash, that mannequin's moving. And I'm looking and I'm straining as much as I can to focus on this mannequin dummy. And I couldn't see it moving.
You couldn't do
But
it.
I felt something was there with us. And I just turned around to her and I went, no, that's not moving, but I think it's going to. I said, because I can feel the energy building. And all of a sudden, without warning, this mannequin dummy, literally a foot off the ground, came hurtling towards me. I've gone, oh shit, and I've grabbed it. I've literally grabbed it by the shoulders. Its head has fallen off onto the floor. And poor Claire jumps up out of her chair and she says, fuck that, I'm not here for this, I'm off. And she shot off and left me in there on my own. I'm like, come back. Anybody going to help me? I'm playing football with the head. And I'm like, seriously, someone wants to come and help me. Well, I got 3 other people have come in. I didn't realise they were in the 3rd cell. And they were filming dowsing rods. And you see him on the video, you see him standing there. And they're going, if there are any spirits here in this cell block with us, can you open the dowsing rods? And as the rods went like that, you hear Claire shout out, fuck that, I'm not here for this. And they turned and pointed the camera down the corridor to see her coming out of the cell, running out into the courtyard, and this little ball of light come out the door after her and followed her out. And I'm like, this is mental. Well, the time after that I visited there, I noticed that the mannequin was tied to the wall.
Oh.
So I went and spoke to the 2 people that oversee the venue. And I said to them, does this happen often with that dummy? And they went, it's happened a couple of times. She said, but after what happened to you, she said, because I recognised you from the CCTV, she said, we've made sure it doesn't happen again. And I went, seriously? And she went, well, yeah. She said, obviously, it's in our best interest that doesn't get damaged. And I went, but that was what we needed. I said, we weren't filming, so we wanted to film that happening again. So we've got it on camera. And she went, well, I'm sorry, we can't do it. But because they'd installed CCTV cameras, I couldn't undo the wire and untie it from the wall. But the thing is, now things have changed there. They've now locked the 1st and 2nd cells because people were damaging the walls, and it was the original paintwork on the walls.
That's not right. That's not fair.
And that has been an ongoing issue. There's a lot of places now that have just turned around and said, we're not having paranormal teams in anymore overnight because there's no one here that can make sure or safeguard any of the items that are here, or the paintwork on the walls. So they've stopped doing it. Ruffham Control Tower in Bury St Edmunds is one location that stopped doing paranormal events for that very reason.
Here's something you need to know. Ready? Bury St Edmunds is where my oldest daughter was born.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's only an hour up the road from me.
Bury St Edmunds is where my oldest daughter was born.
Cool.
She's 13 now, and well, going to 13, but yeah. Now Bury St Edmunds has got a good history by it, and most of the stuff they do for the paranormal field is just gone down drain because people are wrecking it. People are going there, vandalizing, doing stuff to historical places, and one of the big things about the paranormal, they just need to remember, and this is how I'm going to say it, people, stop ruining the locations. Simple fact.
Yeah.
Stop making the locations bad.
The problem was, the first report was that there was people abseiling down the control tower. And we're like, hang on a minute, paranormal teams don't go there to go you go abseiling down the side of the control tower at 1 o'clock in the morning. We're there ghost hunting. The last thing we're going to do is sling a rope over the side and start going down it. That's not what we're there for. And then it turned out that there was another public events group. I don't know who it was, but an events group had booked there for the night. They had told the guy that oversees the events, that runs the event side of things there at night, that there was so many people going to be there. So he's turned around to him and said, right, well, we've got your deposit. You need to pay X amount on the night. The group has turned up. They've got things set up. He's shown them around the place, told them what parts are where and everything else. And then he's taken the money that they've told him they owe him because that's how many people are going. And he then goes. He goes off home. Little does he know that as soon as he's gone, the guests have started to arrive. But instead of there being, say, 15 guests, there's 25 guests.
Oh.
So this team hasn't paid for 10 people. And they caught them all out on CCTV camera. They were all in the cafe. And they looked at the screenshot and they said, well, there's not 15 people here. There's 25. We haven't been paid enough. And they said, that's it. Last straw.
Last one.
But
okay. Time is
I
coming.
think part of that is down to them because they should have made sure there was someone there for that event, making sure there was that right people there, rather than he turns around and says, right, I've got your money now, I'm going home. He should have stayed there until the event had finished to make sure nobody turned up that shouldn't have been there.
Well, at least he's done it.
But now it's ruined it for other people.
It have, and it shouldn't be fair.
Yep.
Wayne, it's coming to our end slowly. It's coming to the end. What are we gonna do, but
I don't know. We're not doing an end of show. I know that much. I'm not singing and dancing.
Well, that's your job. You got to strip tease. You got to dance. And okay, we're just doing this, people. Okay, we're just going. Look, we ain't going full Monty now. Okay, no, I'm joking. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor having Wayne here. Wayne, they can find you at all the links we're gonna be putting out there for you.
Yep.
Go and check out these books. And make sure you go on to Amazon and click and get that book. If you don't get it, don't worry. Is there any way I can do a discount 1 point?
Well, I mean, with Amazon, it's the set price that Amazon has got on there. But if they contact me directly through Messenger, I do the deal where there's 4 books for £15, which is basically buy 4, pay for 3.
Okay, you heard that, people. Okay.
So buy 3, get 1 free. That's a mouthful, isn't it? And obviously,
3.
Oh yeah. And basically, if done through private messenger, they contact me directly, I can personalise and sign each one of those books to them. They get the bookmark and they'll get it nicely gift wrapped and whatnot as well.
Entertainment should have one. I'm not going to lie. Entertainment should have one. I've been a long friend. I need one now. That's it. I'm going to get one.
Well, if you need one, there's 4 to choose from.
Give me all 4. Then we can do you can do a speciality for the DNTV. Signer. Check it.
So it'd be 2 DNTV, keep it spooky, Wayne Seaden. And then I have my little ghosty. But I used to draw my ghost, but now I've got a stamp that I use.
Well, okay, he likes to use a stamp, so I like to use 1 too, not gonna lie. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna keep it here because I could get really naughty, and even it's gone watershed time now. Sorry about this, I got a cough. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching tonight. I hope you all enjoyed all this nice, beautiful information you got about the paranormal field. This is Wayne, ladies and gentlemen, from Spooky
Nori.
Spooky Nori. Okay, right.
Spooky Nori and Truth Beyond Paranormal.
Look, it took me many years to get this spot on. Okay, it took me many years to get back into this show again, and I'm ready messing it up. This is unbelievable.
But that's probably my fault for thinking of a name such as Spookinori.
Well, no, I'm gonna keep this out of my mind because it could get really naughty again. I keep getting into trouble. Whose fault is this?
We also, Truth Beyond Paranormal also has a TikTok channel called Truth Beyond Paranormal TV. So if you give us a follow on TikTok, our director and her husband tend to do a lot of live feeds throughout the week. And then when we go out on location filming, she'll do the odd TikTok live and things like that as well. So There's plenty of paranormal stuff on there.
Can you do me a big favor? Can you ask him to come on the show then?
I can ask her, yeah.
Not mine. Yeah, yes, it is, Julie. We know this, and your mum's in you, so yeah. It is you. If you can ask him, please, that'd be great.
Yep.
And that'll be a pleasure to have him on here.
No problemo.
Anyway, look. Look at the comment. Look at the comment
Yep.
on the screen. Come on.
I'm on TikTok as well, but my TikTok tends to be humour. I tend to put funny videos on there, and I've only just recently started doing lives. But when I have, I've read my ghost stories, because every year on Christmas Eve, I like to, or I'm trying to reintroduce the tradition of telling a ghost story on Christmas Eve. And so every year I create a particular ghost story and then read it live. And this year was the first year or last year was the first time that I did live stream on both Facebook and TikTok at the same time.
Do you know what? I'm so jealous right now. I am. No, I'm joking. I'm not like that in sort of ways.
Thing is, I don't like jealousy. I think it's life is what life is what you make it. And I've gone out there and I've done what I've done because I enjoy doing it, and it just keeps me plodding along. I'm really happy about it. If I find some evidence and I share it out, I don't care if people are jealous. That's down to them. That's not my problem.
That's true.
And I'm happy to share that evidence and that experience. So, where's the issue?
There's no jealousy, man. You know the rules. You know the rules with me. Right. Before we carry on, guys, I'm about to end this live in a minute. But don't forget to come and check me out tomorrow on TikTok Live, 8 p.m., doing some spiritual readings for you lovely people. Go and check out this absolutely amazing live. For the very first time, I'll be going doing spiritual readings on TikTok. I'm dreading it already. So I think a lot of people on trolls are going to be there trying to think they're clever. But then this is where you got to be very clever at them and tell them, go and do one for a little bit. Nothing to put a bad out there, okay? Guys, also check out my website. It's entertainmentdntvchannel.com. We are still building it up, but you still can have a little peek at it. But the best thing about this website we are creating is about promoting people's pages, having their videos onto our website. It's a legit company. I am a legit United Kingdom based over the international company, and we are literally got a global recognition award for that job. And the amount of things I've done over the past of my days. I don't know where to sit. I don't know where to stop, Wayne. I really don't. But guys, we also get sponsored by Dabby the Drink Energy Drink. Go and check out the thing. I can give you a link. And 3, 2, 1. Grab the code quickly as you can. Grab the code because it's gone. So I'm going down this live. Wayne, thank you very much for coming on. Have a great
You're
night.
welcome.
Thank you for doing what you do best, mate.
No problem.
All right, see you, spooky tackler guy.
See ya.
That's what I'm going to call him, spooky tackler guy now. That's it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm officially finished with this job. Okay, right? I'm just doing this.